Well, I can get this phone to quit fidgeting around here. There we go. I'm sorry, it just took me a minute to get the phone to cooperate. Anyway, it's been about 2 weeks since I shot my last video where I talk about everything that's going on with Tony and whatnot. Well, I figure, now it's time to do a little update. Like I said in the description of this video, there is going to be, I am going to talk about some of the gross stuff. Okay. Like I said, and I'm going to have to go back to what I talked about in the last video. Back on the 12th of June, Tony went to the rehab out in Edgewood. And he got up and he walked. Okay. Well, and in addition, back on my birthday, as I mentioned also in that same video, and probably the one before it, I think, they took at the hospital that Tony was up until June 12th, on my birthday, they had gotten a hold of his right foot and took, a lot of the staples and the stitches and the whatnot out of his foot. Well, and this is the part that's gross. They didn't get it all out, okay? Because like I mentioned previously, the podiatrist person that was supposed to come finish getting the rest of that business out of Tony's foot had left by the time they got a hold of Tony on my birthday. So, from my birthday, Tony still had a lot of the stitches and the staples and the what have you running around in his foot. Okay, well, what winds up happening is, other than the fact that this phone makes me look like I'm sitting down in a ditch, that's just aside, Tony has, at this point, like the podiatrist did finally, last week, like on the 18th or 19th of June, finally got a hold of him and got the rest of the business out of his foot. They pulled out like packing and scabbing and scarring and all the remaining stitches and staples and what have you out of his foot. Well, and that thing bled like a stuck pig. It did. The thing bled like a stuck pig. I wasn't there when it happened because, and this is one thing, and I've said this, and, at least the last 2 videos, I was grossed out by that. I was like, that's just, no. It's a whole lot of no. And it's just, I've reached the point where I'm done. I'm done looking at it. I can't stand looking at it another minute. Don't get me wrong. I love Tony. I do. But I have to tell you something. That just was beyond gross for me. Okay, just saying. I mean, seriously. I mean, it was gross. And I've told him that. I said, I'm like, honey, that's disgusting. I don't want to see that, I mean, I don't. And I told him this. Well, and the other thing is, he was, and I didn't say this in the last video, he was supposed to come home this past Wednesday on June 21st. And it was 6 days ago. Well, guess what? Today's the 27th of June, 2023. Guess where Tony is? He's still at that rehab. As I sit here and shoot this video, Tony is still at that rehab. He is. I mean, unless, barring anything crazy happening between this very minute and, like 11 o'clock this morning, he's still at the rehab. Last week, and like I said, the doctor got a hold, the podiatrist person, finally, one day last week, I think it was, like I said, the 18th, went in and took the rest of the nastiness, like the stitches and the staples and the, packing and like a whole bunch of scarring and scabbing up, and like they picked all that off. Like I said, they did that when I wasn't there. Like they took him to, I think it was wound care or something. And I know they took him to wound care at least one day. Um, but when I went over to see him this past Wednesday on June 21st, they had at the rehab, they had his happy butt hooked up to a a suction thing to get the start sucking out the rest of the gunk out of his foot. Because apparently, when the podiatrist got their hands on him, and they got all the stitches and staples and whatnot out of him, his foot apparently bled a lot. And it was like, like a whole, like all of a sudden it was like just bam, it was like, nastiness everywhere, and just, like a whole bunch of gunk come up out of him. And, like they were, they had to clean it up, and, they were like, and they had to put a pump on him. So, Wednesday, Thursday, he, had that on him, and it was going, it was making fart noises. And, I jokingly said to him, I said, Tony, do you feel better? I'm like, do you feel better, now that your foot, you're making these fart noises? He said, oh, that's the machine over there making that noise. I'm like, I know it is. I'm just playing with you. I said, I'm joking. Get over it. And that's what I said to him. I'm like, honey, I'm kidding. And one thing, and if you're just now, like, I know I'm shooting this video live, and I have to, stop here and say this. The reason why I'm shooting this video live is because my cell phone has been acting ignorant. It's like this is like my third attempt at making this video. I'm serious. Because, like, I started to shoot the video, like, and my phone's like, oh, you ran out of storage. I haven't ran out of storage. It's like I, like, dumped a whole bunch of, like all of my pictures and, like, a bunch of music off this phone. And, I've had to reboot it a couple of times. And, it's still, like, I went to shoot it a second time and it just cut me off. So I'm like, okay, seriously. Well, I was like, okay, there's one way to skin this cat. So I'm going to just shoot it live, and it is what it is. So it is what it is. I just wanted to say that. But anyway, Tony, where I left it on like the 14th of June, Tony was at the rehab, and, he was getting up and he was starting to walk. Well, there's that. He's been up and he's been, walking and stuff. There's that. Well, that's the good news. He actually, I mean, other than this minor setback with his foot, like having all that gunk coming out of, like, the bottom here, he's been, he's had the ski boot on, and he's been up, running around. Well, not running around, but, he's been up walking around and stuff. Well, and he's, excited. Well, and, he was, like I said, he was supposed to come home Wednesday, and it didn't, this past Wednesday, and it didn't happen. Shit happens. That's what I told him. And, I think I've mentioned it before, but, in at least, another video, but, I've been not only dealing with the drama with Tony, but I've been dealing with my mom being sick too, all at the same time. And I mean, this is, for those of you that think that, oh yeah, she's just, running around like a chicken with her head cut off. That's pretty much, it's just like, I can't be everywhere and I can't do everything because I've got to be dealing with Tony. I've got to be dealing with mom, like I can't always be with mom. It's not that I don't care about her. It's, I can't be everywhere because I've got obligations to me too. Like I have to, go take, like last week, like I had to be everywhere. I had to be somewhere every day, like, at different times last week. It's not that I don't care. I do care. It's just I'm not God. I can't be everywhere. you know, and it's just, that's my thing. It's like I'm like going, okay, well, I can't be everywhere. So I didn't get to see Mom at all last week. And it wasn't because, and I did talk to her on the phone, a couple times at least. But it's like I can't be everywhere and I can't do everything. I had doctor's appointments for me. I had to go deal with Tony. Like, as a matter of fact, on Thursday, well, the case manager had been calling me, and I'd been trying to chase this woman down, for Tony, because she wanted me to come in for a care meeting. That was an ordeal. It was. I'm not going to lie. That was the worst I've ever been treated by somebody in a medical profession, ever. And I'm not going to lie about it. I mean, well, outside of a couple of times back in 2019 where I had a doctor get snarky with me. And I complained to the head nurse and said, I do not want to see that doctor again. I'm like, he was just rude, and didn't listen to me, and, was saying inappropriate things to me, not of a sexual nature. Don't think that. He wasn't like sexually inappropriate. He was just inappropriate to me in the way that he talked to me like I was too stupid to know my own mind. I'm like, dude, I'm paying for you to treat me. If you can't respect my wishes, then get out of my room. And this is like and I'm like, I don't care for it. It's like I said in the last video, this rehab that Tony's in right now. Yeah, we had a good experience. That was like the only bad part of Tony being there the whole time. I mean, this woman was completely disrespectful to both Tony and myself, because we told her, there's things going on here. Like this entertainment center behind me. She wanted us to completely disembowel this condo, especially in this room that I'm sitting in right now. And she expected me to completely disembowel this condo and put a hospital bed and, a hospital bed. And I'm like, I told her, Tony told her, and I told her that's physically impossible because, for example, like I said, this entertainment center that's sitting behind me, that's a 4-person move. And I would have to, empty it out, and I would have to find some folks to help me move it. Well, I don't have anybody that I could get a hold of on a Wednesday afternoon to come help me move this thing. I mean, and who does she think I am, He-Man? I'm like, lady, no. The answer is no. It's not that I don't want to help Tony out. It's no, I physically cannot do that. And logistically speaking, it's not going to happen because other than that, I don't know people, it's not like I know Batista or, any of those great big muscly type WWE wrestlers. I mean, if I knew, like Batista and this chair is moving. If I knew, like, say, Batista or, what's that? Paul Henry, I think is his name, that great big African-American fella. And hello to whoever's watching. It's probably you, Rosie. Hi, if you're watching. But it's like, I don't know, like some great big burly man. I'm so, or a bunch of them that I'd, have come help me out. It'd be one thing. I mean, but I'm like, who do you think I am? And I'm also not Harry Houdini. I mean, I can't just magically just poof, make stuff disappear, That's not how that bird flies. Believe me, it's a penguin walking funky down the street. I'm sorry, things are itching. But anyway, we told her no. And then we went, after the meeting, we went back to the room, and I have to say I bit Tony's head off. I finally just snapped and just had enough. I mean, it's not that I don't love Tony, don't get me wrong, but I was just like, I told him, I'm like, you could have prevented this. You could have prevented this. If back at Easter in April, your foot was feeling weird. Why didn't you say to me, hey, I think I might need to go to urgent care, or I might need to go see the doctor, because I think I've got something going on with my foot that I want somebody to look at. And I would have happily taken him, and I told him that. And I said, this is entirely your own doing. This is entirely your own fault. I'm like, you don't understand that, it's like I'm dealing with mom being sick. I've now got you being sick. I feel like I'm being pulled 50 different ways. And, I don't know which way I want to turn first. It's nothing against you. You just need to understand I can't be everywhere and I can't do everything, and I'm not going to. And I was mad at him, and I told him that. I said, I hate you for being so stupid. I hate you for doing this to yourself. And I'm not, don't get me wrong, I wasn't saying it to be mean to him. I just was done, and I was being honest with him. I said, I care about you and I love you, but you need to know, and you need to hear this from me, that I'm pissed at you for being stupid. You need to just understand that you could have prevented this. It's like, Smokey the Bear says, you could prevent forest fires. Well, he could have prevented this being done to his foot. And I told him that. I said, this is on you, and you also have to learn how to walk again. Well, much to Tony's credit, in addition to having that foot pump on his foot, they take that off of him. He got up and he was walking around. And he was, he's been going up and down the steps. Of course, on Thursday, I blew up and just was honest with him. I felt better with being honest with him. I did. I finally snapped and told him what I really thought. And I left. I was like, I'm done. I have to leave. I said, if I have to look at you for another 5 minutes, I'll probably kick your ass and get thrown out. I'm not sorry. I was like, I left. I sat in the car and cried for 10 minutes. And I was really upset because, I was at the point where, I was just aggravated. And at the end of my rope, I was like, and I have to give Rosie, if you're watching, if that's you, I have to give Rosie credit for, just being a listening ear at that point, because it helped. I just was so just annoyed with Tony. It's just, I'm like, this man could have prevented it, and he didn't. And, and this is the other thing, and I have to mention this. Tony, I have an uncle who died, let's see, how much longer after Dad did he die? He died like 5 months after my dad did, back in, 2001. And the uncle died of complications from diabetes. I have to give this uncle credit for something. He's had the uncle, not Tony, the uncle had a lot of bad stuff happen to him because of the diabetes. And I would point at this uncle and say, do you want to end up like him? And have all these, medical issues going on that he's got going on because of the diabetes. It's like, do you want to end up being him? Or like him, having like, all this stuff happen, that happened to him. I won't say what, but, and I'd point at him and like, do you want that to happen to you? And Tony's like, no. And I'm like, okay, if you don't want something like that to happen to you, what happened to him, you need to consciously be like, okay, I don't want that to happen to me. Here's what I need to do. Take medicine, do what I need to do, and I told Tony, I said, even if you go to your doctor and say, like, look, give me the cheapest of the cheap, that's still, in whatever formulation you want, it's like, I can't, afford no $2,000 insulin pump or whatever, just, or if you have to give me samples, do what you got to do. But, I am not Bill Gates. I can't afford to pay $500-$600 for, insulin shot or whatever, please, excuse me, and I'm hiccuping, please, help me out on that end. And most doctors, and this has been my experience, if you tell the doctor, look, I can't, if you can get it to where it's like a $20 shot or something like that I can afford, even with my insurance, and what have you, and hello to whoever just joined. But that's how I feel. It's like Tony needs to be saying, go get, like I need to be, like I can't, do the expensive stuff, and give me the, you know even, give me samples of it, if it comes down to it. I mean, and there's actually a lady that Tony and I both know that is a diabetic, that her medicine apparently was like $3,000 a shot. A shot. We're talking like a, like a pin shot, like, pin, like, you know, shoot yourself up with. It was like a $3,000 shot, and her doctor was cool enough to give um, the lady samples for it. And that's, something I pointed out to Tony is like, you know, give, give the doctor the heads up and just say, hey, listen, even if you have to give me samples, that's fine. I mean, most doctors that I've ever dealt with are, cool about that. If you tell them, my insurance won't cover it, so you're going to have to give me if you want me to take that medicine, you need to give me the samples of it, because I can't, do that. I mean, like, my doctor, for example, wanted me to take some kind of medicine, and I told him, I said, well, I don't know if my insurance will cover it. It didn't. And I told him that, I said, so, you might want to try, like, check with the insurance to see, like, tell them, okay, well, I want her to try this medicine. What, it's like, will that go through? And if they're like, no, we'll say, well, what about this one? And if they, if they take it, they take it. If they don't, it's not the end of the world. We'll figure it out. But, and I mean, and it's like the doctors are cool about it if you talk to them about it. And I've told Tony this, But anyway, that's been Tony's problem, is he's just not been taking proper care of himself, and I'm annoyed at him for not doing that, and I told him that. The other thing is, and I know I mentioned this in the last video, at the end, well, I have to say this, and no, I'm not begging, or at least I'm trying not to beg. There's a fine young lady that lives up in New Jersey, and if that's you watching, Rosie, I'm going to say something nice about you on YouTube here. Rosie's an absolute sweetheart, and, I wish you would come to Kentucky to see me. I really do. I would love to get to meet you in person, really. But anyway, I was telling her this, with the GoFundMe page. Nobody's given to the GoFundMe page since her and her husband gave last month. And I thank them for that. But, and it's like I said in the last video, the well's gone dry and bills are coming due. And it's just, at this point, the biggest, like, 5 bills are coming due, like, this week. As a matter of fact, they're all due, like, between now and, like, Sunday. And, I won't say how much they are, just because, if you live locally to me and, you want to not give on the GoFundMe page, if you live locally to me and, you're able to get a hold of me, like if you know my actual cell phone number, or, Tony's cell phone number, or somebody that does know our stuff, or you're friends with me on Facebook, IM me or text Tony. And, well, Tony may not know what's going, like how much they are, or what have you. But, but if you get a hold of me, I do. It's like, we just mainly need help paying, like, 5 bills off. Five bills for sure, and maybe a 6th one. Because, until Tony and I start getting money in, which will hopefully be, in the near future with certain things, I hope. Although that's wishful thinking on my part. But yeah, when things work themselves out, hopefully Tony and I will be able to start paying our own bills here soon if things go right. But, if you don't want to, like, if you come to me and say, hey, I want to help pay, one or all of the bills, which ones do you need help with? But don't be a jerk about it, because it's like I mentioned in the last video, there's somebody I know, an acquaintance that, was being rather jerky about it. And I'm like, if you don't want to help me out, don't. But if you want to help me out, do, but don't be a jerk about it. Don't be jerky about it. Either give because you want to, or don't give because you're wanting to be a horse's hiney about it. If you don't want to give, you can always share the GoFundMe. You can. You can always go share the GoFundMe. Maybe somebody, just don't say anything snarky with it. Be like, here's her GoFundMe page, don't give. Then why are you sharing it? But anyway, I also on the video links on this video, I shared the links from my book that I wrote that got published back in January. Incidentally, the book, Amazon, I know for a fact, is having Prime Days coming up on July 11 and 12, and I told Rosie this. Prime Days are coming up on July 11 and 12. So if you want to buy the book during Prime Days, go right ahead. Buy multiple copies, 20, 30, 50, that's fine. Or you can go into like a Barnes & Noble if you want to do like the actual old school, old school, go in and buy a book thing. You can go into any Barnes & Noble near you and actually buy the book. In fact, a friend of ours that lives here locally didn't know you could do that, until I told him. I'm like, and by the way, you can, go in to Barnes & Noble and actually buy the book from the actual bookstore, and I gave the guy the ISBN and told him, said, if you tell him, hey, I have the ISBN number, they can look it up and just, order it just like that, and he did it, which, believe me, I'm grateful for it if he sees this video. But anyway, go ahead and buy copies. Even if you wait until July 11 and or 12 to buy it. But anyway, the big thing is Tony's been up walking around. He's been walking with a walker. He's actually, this is going to sound, I don't know how this is going to come out sounding, but I'm going to say it. Tony's actually been using the bathroom like a big boy. Makes him sound like a 5-year-old or a potty training 2-year-old. Tony's actually been using the bathroom like a big boy, finally. And, he's like, I don't need a hospital bed. I don't need, the hospital potty. He's like, I can get up and go up and down the steps by myself. I can use the bathroom by myself like a big boy. And it's like, I've tried not to emasculate him. I told him, I said, I'm not going to help you with your foot. I might cut the thing off. If I have to look at that thing, I'm probably going to cut the thing off for him. Because he knows after everything, and I told it, I was straight with him yesterday, and I said, I love you, but no, I will not help you wrap your foot up, and I know I do not want to see it ever again. I saw it yesterday. He texted it to me. Well, the top of it anyway. It looks like a foot with no toes is what it looked like. And, he needs to get happy with the lotion on it. I almost feel like being like Wild Bill from The Silence of the Lambs. You put it puts on the lotion or it gets the hose. That's what I want to say to him. It puts on the lotion or it gets the hose. He has got like some serious dry skin on his feet, man. It's disgusting. And I just almost like, I'm done. I love you. I told him, I said, you are not allowed to go barefoot around me ever again. Of course, it's not like he could wear flip flops, you know. Uh, I did, and I have to say I did this. Last week or what? No, it wasn't. It wasn't last week. Um, it was right after my birthday earlier this month. I have, and I know I was talking about Amazon just a little bit ago, but Amazon has this thing where it's a shopper's panel or something. And what you do is if you scan 10 receipts to them and upload it to them in this app and answer surveys, you can get at the bare minimum, if you do 10 receipts, you get a $10 gift certificate to Amazon. Well, I'll tell you what, that $10 gift certificate comes in handy. I think I've actually gotten like $11.50 as a gift card from Amazon. And I mean, I don't normally, flog companies like that, but it's just something I wanted to share. Well, what I did was I had like an $11 and some change gift certificate to Amazon. Well, I got on Amazon because I have Prime, and I proceeded to get Tony a pair of water shoes because I'm like, the last thing I need is for him to, because he doesn't have toes on his right foot. My thought was, he goes and takes a bath when he's allowed to take a bath, which will be, I don't know when, but, whenever he gets home and is allowed to take a bath, in the tub, like a normal person, I don't, he takes a shower. I don't want him to fall down and bust his head open like an overripe melon, you know. Um, so I took that gift certificate and I bought him some water shoes online at Amazon. I told him just in the last 24 hours, I said, listen, when you get home, I said, I need you to try them shoes on. I said, because I need to know if we need to exchange them. I said, because we only have, so long between, the time I get them here and the time that the return window closes for me to send them back. So hopefully that, they sent us the right size. I don't think they did, but, I mean, it's just, I'll tell you what, that gift certificate from Amazon came in handy. And that's what I did. So Tony's got water shoes, to to help him when he gets to where he can take a bath in the shower or take a shower in the bathtub like a normal person, which I hope is sometime soon. I should be so lucky. Well, anyway, like I know I'm talking basically in circles at this point, but it is what it is. Well, anyway, like I was saying though, for those of you that don't live close to me, and this is the thing, if you don't live close to me and you want to help out, by like paying a bill or whatever, if you want, IM me, and say, or leave a message on here saying, call me, and only if you're serious, either go on, I would prefer you go on the GoFundMe and, leave money, like however much if you're able to give. Or otherwise, like if you're serious about it and you're not going to give me like some lecture on about, like you need to know how to do a budget, whatever. Listen, I've lived long enough to know how to do a budget, okay? I'm actually pretty decent at using Excel, and that's one of the things I use it for is to do a budget. So don't lecture me on that. I don't need to hear it, okay? And I don't want to. And I know how much stuff is. I mean, if you want to do it through the GoFundMe, that would be awesome. If you live locally to me, like I said in the last video, you can, either, say, okay, where can I meet you at? And, like I'll pay, like what bills do you need help paying, and, do it because you want to help out, not because somebody's twisting your arm. I'm not trying to twist your arm or anything, it's just, it'd be great. And just say, okay, what bills you need paid, let's go get those paid. And it's like, if you want to do it, if you have to do it online, because there are a few of our bills that we pay online, we'll, like, I'll pay them online, and, or like, I'll give you the cash for it and you go pay it, which would be fine. Of course, I've said, my idea of getting lucky at this point is to have somebody give me, enough money to not only pay my bills for July, but July, August, and September, because I really, to be completely honest, I don't know if and when Tony's going to be able to go back to work. To be honest, just because, I mean, he's hopefully going to get out today. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. He's supposed to get out today. Like I said, barring anything hinky happening. And I can't honestly say if and when he's going to go back to work. I mean, somebody asked me that. I think Rosie did. If you're still watching, Rosie, my answer hasn't changed. I don't know. That's the honest answer is I don't know. I don't know if, and I don't know when he's going to go back. I don't even know if and when he's going to get paid again, or like what shift he's going to be on. I don't know if he's going back on second shift or what the story is. But, as soon as I figure out, I will actually do an update and let you all know if and when he's going back to work or whatever. And I don't know what I think, and this is something I suspect is going to happen, is where he's been off, basically 3 months almost now, like 2.5 months going on 3. I don't know if and when he's going to get a whole paycheck again either. I doubt that. I mean, I don't even know if he's going to get a whole paycheck, or if they're not going to, like, after, like, a week or two, be like, adios, dude. I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to play it by ear. But that's, the truth of the matter. But anyway, well, it is what it is. Well, I'm going to stop here for right now. And Rosie, if that's you watching, thank you for listening to my bullshit for the last half hour or so. But anyway, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to attach this video to the playlist about, my book and Tony's illness and stuff. And, if you happen to see this video before you see the rest of the playlist, you're welcome to watch it over again. And, at least, what I've talked about in this video will make more sense. But anyway, I want to thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you soon. And hopefully, I might have something to say that's not about Tony and his bullcrap. Well, y'all have a good night. Bye.